If you've been playing with the idea of getting into real estate investing and owning your own properties to rent out to others, then you might have had a few concerns come to mind. And the truth is, a lot of people can get really intimidated with the idea of real estate investing. Often they'll be afraid that it's too much of a headache when they have to deal with tenants and toilets. Basically, any of the plain maintenance stuff. Though there really is a simple solution to all of that, and it is to hire a property manager. At their core, property managers are hired to do basically everything that is required of a landlord. This includes accepting applications, screening potential clients, hiring contractors for repairs and upgrades, and annual or semi-annual inspections, just to name a few. Still, not all property managers are created equal. Being in this business for as long as I have had the opportunity to work with some great property managers and some not so great ones. So whether it's from just complete incompetence or malicious intent, here are 4 giant red flags that you need to keep an eye out for just in case it's time to switch your property manager. Number 1, they don't call you back. This might seem pretty straightforward, but if you try to call your property manager and they don't return your call, then you should be running as far away from them as you can, as fast as you possibly can. I know that my generation in particular has been known to be a bit averse to phone calls. I know I am, but it's also true that there are just some things you need to talk on the phone for. You don't want anything to get lost in translation through an email. I expect my property managers to call me back by the end of business day on the same day that I call them, barring any extenuating circumstances, of course. If there's like a genuine health emergency and someone's got to go, that's totally okay. That's totally reasonable. But in general, same business day. If it becomes a regular occurrence that I don't hear from them for a day or two after my inquiry, or even weeks, then we have a big problem. They're being unreliable and they're being super unprofessional. If they don't shape up and get back to business, then they're fired. Plain and simple. Number 2, they talk to you like they're the boss. As it turns out, there is a first for everything, and I only just experienced this for myself. Most people who work for property managers or are a property manager in general have a very good understanding of the relationship dynamic between a landlord, the property owner, and the property manager. A landlord hires a property manager to work for them, not the other way around. Basic, right? Well, apparently the associate that works for the company that I've been working with for a few years now didn't catch the memo. And they've been giving me orders to take on my property that aren't even required by local, state, or federal law. For example, this associate decided to go behind my back and get a $1,300 quote for landscaping, telling me that I had to improve the landscaping on my property and that it was my duty as a landlord. This is not true. It never has been true, and I'm pretty sure it never will be true. So, of course, I immediately emailed the owner of the company and CC'd him on all the conversations I was having with this associate. As it turned out, which I already knew, the assigned property manager broke our contract. They are not allowed to tell me what to do with my property, and they must discuss with me which actions I would like to take for repairs, not improvements. Beautifying a property with extensive landscaping isn't even in the lease that our tenants sign. After all, why would it be? That's not normal. But what is normal in my market area? And that's important because every market area is a little bit different. But in my area, tenants are responsible for basic yard maintenance, including mowing and weeding. And that was in the contract. The company's owner reminded the property manager that it's my responsibility as a landlord to keep the property safe and livable. They also reminded them that cosmetic improvements, things that are just for looks, are completely optional and not required. Also, I give the orders. It's literally my house. So if you find out that the property manager can't toss the total power trip attitude, then it's time to say bye. Good riddance, because that is ridiculous. And just in case you're curious, so far it's all worked out. We haven't had any issues since. Number 3, they don't inspect the work that they hire out. Inspect what you expect. That's an old saying that I picked up while I was working as a manager in retail many years ago. It's also relevant to just about every single other industry out there, including real estate. A good property manager will inspect what they expect from the contractors that they hire to make repairs on the homes that they're managing. Likewise, a bad manager will just assume that the job was done and then they will never inspect it at all. I think you can see how that might cause a little bit of a problem. I've unfortunately had to deal with this problem more than once, and a property manager's negligence can actually cause physical damage to your property. And for that reason, if your property manager is causing more harm than good, then it's time to go your separate ways. Number 4. They just aren't keeping your financial interest in mind. Different states have different laws, but in the state that I'm in, they require that a property manager has a real estate license. As a licensed real estate agent, per our law, property managers are fiduciaries to their clients. This means that property managers are bound by law to keep your best interest in mind. They cannot take action that will harm your interests or financial well-being, and they can be held legally liable for acting against your best interests. It's important to know your rights and responsibilities as a landlord. That way you can better protect yourself and maybe even your tenants. So despite what you often read plastered all over the internet, real estate isn't exactly passive income. It does have the potential to be semi-passive, but there will always be a certain level of work for you to do. Property managers are supposed to make that job easier, but that's not always the case. Property managers are just people, and people are notorious for being an assortment of good, bad, diligent, and lazy. So all that really means is that you need to interview your property manager that you want to hire, and you need to inspect what you expect from them. If they aren't up to the job or they deceive you in any way, then toss them! Toss them! You need to find a good one instead. Hopefully you've learned something that will help you reach your goals today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, I will see you next time.